I've made my decision. The winner of RuPaul's Drag Race is
Glenn Close, but no cigar. Glenn Close, no cigar. Glenn Close, but no cigar.
Oh, Jesus, gross.
Hey everybody, welcome back to your favorite media response show. That is, of course, X's for Show starring these guys. You can check us out at X's for Show on all your social, but as for me, I'm Nico Action. You can check me out at NICOACTION. How about you, Jonah?
Hi, I'm Jonah. You can follow me places at Peak Jonah. That's Peak TK.
So social is just one of these things now where like it's gonna happen sometimes, but it's not a guarantee. I'm just gonna get Sostat from time to time.
Probably.
Well, I'm TK, and my socias are TK Elemental.
That makes me your producer, Kevo, and you can find me at Kevo Really.
Well, that's today. Today we can find you at Kevo Really. But yesterday you could find us at and I don't ever do this. I don't ever doff the bald. But yesterday you could find us at One Ms. the Bianca Del Rio's show, where we had an incredible time. And, you know, the first thing I want to say is it was so incredible getting to see Bianca Del Rio, but getting to see her at such an amazing venue was so incredible. The State Theater in Portland, Maine, the good Portland, was so super great. The venue was beautiful, and Bianca was beautiful. And so I think while we're definitely going to talk about, the toxic plasmosis we all got this week, and we're going to talk about Tia, and of course that Traitors loss. I do want to start the show with the show that started us off yesterday. TK, you are of course the one of us with the most experience with the State Theater in Portland, as you are one of the ghosts that haunts it. So tell us a little bit about what it was like getting to see such a great there.
This was my second Bianca show. So a second Bianca show at the State, I should say. It was my fourth overall. The State Theater is probably one of my favorite venues in the world. And not just because it is a 5-minute walk from my house. It's just a cool old theater. I also really find it fun seeing particularly stand-up comedy acts in an old theater. I mean, the State has the gilded detailing, and there's gargoyles on the walls. It's a cool old theater. Real. Yeah, thank you. Exactly that. So it's always funny when you see something that's not like a big musical act with a lot of effects and vibes to it. It's just...
But you got to see a gothic gargoyle.
And a clown, because the gothic gargoyle is Wendy Ho.
Oh, see, I was making a joke at lovely Bianca's expense.
I know, and then I riffed on it, and anyway. Yeah, it was a blast. I have also enjoyed seeing her in I think I saw her at the House of Blues in Boston, which is much more of just kind of a standard venue. But this was, oh my gosh, you found that photo. That's so cute. She tweets it. That's very cute.
Oh wow, I wonder if you could zoom in and see us. But
I don't think you can. But
I think we're a little far to the left.
for photo reference,
You would
we're
only
like,
be able to see like Jonah and Kevo, I think.
Wait, no, I think I see Nico. Were you wearing
What-
the plaid shirt?
Is that his bald head right there?
Is that your bald head?
no,
It might
no,
be. I actually thought it was
maybe.
Kevo, but color washed out. But
We
anyway,
were here somewhere
Around
Yeah.
there.
in this corner.
I do want to just say that it's so terrific that, the audience for Bianca has, an incredible array of people who celebrate, non-binary gender roles. We have even portmanteau celebrities like Katie Lang, Nick Carter on the left. This guy was so funny, and I just wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out and say he looks like two awesome famous people.
And we didn't see the boots last night. I didn't see these
No,
silver
fuck the
slippers.
heel.
This guy was so much fun.
Yeah.
He came dressed for success. He came ready to be a celebrity, and good for him. What a great time. I really did think that the show was interesting for me. Now, Jonah, this was your first ever drag race alum, winning queen live show, right?
Yes.
Now, how did this land for you? Was this, safely on the tarmac, or are we looking at finding a nearby highway?
Oh, no. This was safely on the tarmac. It took off. It landed. I very much enjoyed the show. This is a Bianca show. I knew what I was getting into, but I didn't know what I was getting into, if that makes sense. You kind of expect a certain level of hatred for everything and everybody. And I was like, okay, I'm ready for it. And I was not prepared fully for that level. And I very much appreciated it. I thought she was great. I do think that some of the jokes maybe were a little like her age, old.
Some of it did not feel there's rotted, and then there's rotted by date.
Expired.
I feel like,
No,
she
it's
talked a little bit about how this is a show that is sort of born of the fact that she couldn't tour for a year because of foot surgery. So she did, Pit Stop, which she was fairly critical of, both fairly and fairly critical of Drag Race. But some of the jokes did feel like she wrote them at pandemic. And there were a couple of jokes that were like this LGBTIQA salad that we're doing, this alphabet soup. And I just wanted to be like, you got to always be careful when it's the same joke a conservative pundit makes. Not because, people might misunderstand. No, you're just going to sound dated if other people have already made it. And that's my one ding too.
But other than that, she really has very good comedic timing. Where a lot of the jokes she really knew how to punch hard, punch me down my throat. Bianca Del Rio punched me in the face. I'm coming out brave and saying that's what happened. I would be so lucky if she, punched my left tit like Michelle Visage. I
Yeah.
I also appreciated a lot of her riffs, and it's also fascinating seeing somebody who, on the show, she talked about having the Rolodex of hate, where her brain just goes through the Rolodex of, okay, quick, how to make something funny. And seeing that live was kind of almost beautiful, seeing somebody do a craft like that. It was a little eye-opening of like, oh, this is what comedy could be. It doesn't have to, a form of comedy.
Now, Kevo, I had been the most nervous for you to go because, she's not exactly Triumph or anything, but she is an insult comic, and that's not always your thing as much as you do love you some Bianca. So how did you feel kind of having to see her play this character that she also plays against in the same breath?
There were times where I felt it was a bit unfocused. Overall, I really enjoyed so much of it. Like you said, I fear punching down too hard on the LGBT, etc. community without making sure to punch back up. But other than that, there was a lot of great material, a lot of harsh material, but a lot of harsh material that definitely worked. Hello, Kyle. Good to see you. We are talking about our experience at the Bianca Del Rio show last night, which was quite excellent.
It was not today, Satan. It was yesterday.
It was yesterday, Satan. And like even what was Ho's name again? Wendy Ho?
Wendy Ho.
Wendy Ho.
You know, when we read about her summary, we were like, is this person going to be for us? She was mostly fine. But, you know, I think you go in with worse expectations and find yourself pleasantly surprised. And that is always the way to be.
So the thing that I do want to engage with is the nature of what Bianca does is a beautiful thing. She was, you know, we watched it a little in a funny order. Bianca was the first queen where I was like, that's talent, man. That is a talented person. And I look at Bianca and I'm like, mama can monetize. Right? After I get my lunch back, I look at Jinx and I'm like, Jinx can monetize. I look at Sasha Colby and I'm like, Sasha Colby is a brand waiting to happen. We let Chris Hemsworth get away with Center and Sasha Colby doesn't have like Dragger. Come on, fuck that. But my thought is Aquaria can charge to be in your music video, charge to walk your runway, and those are two things she does better than any motherfucking person. But the problem is, you know, Alicia Silverstone and Liv Tyler can make that music video too, Aquaria. So you start to wonder how you can make your art unique and exclusive. And something I am really watching this season of Drag Race for is how can these girls make money in the long run? You know, it's not Willow Pill's fault that she needs a step stool to be seen. Nobody's coming for her, but that's why we haven't seen too much from that tiny, adorable little creature. So I'm kind of wondering, what do you guys think about someone like Bianca being able to make money on being funny as hell? But then there's sort of that question of like, how do winners make money if they're not Bianca or Jinx?
I do think about that a lot. Bob's another really good example.
Yeah.
Bob
currently on tour with Madonna.
I was gonna say, like, Bob has a ton of comedy specials that do very well, you know, tours like Bianca does, and then separate from all that's clearly a career. Bianca's doing great with that. Bob is too. Completely separate from that, Bob is on tour with Madonna, not doing comedy, but like in the show. And what?
Wow, it's just unusual for Madonna to be okay with somebody more famous than her being on stage.
Haha. So I think a lot about the fact that as soon as you step on the Drag Race stage and start putting your mark on it as a famous drag queen, you're also kind of looking at depreciating value for two reasons. One, it's a young person's game. Being hot is a young person's game. There's a few, you can be a Lady Bunny and, you know, stand out. You can be a Coco Peru and
a Nico Action, as it were.
But a lot of girls are not gonna do that or be part of that. If they're not looking young and hot, it's going to be difficult, and not everybody can afford a RuPaul team to yank your skin back like in Star Trek Insurrection so that you look 20 forever. So what do you have then? I even worry about dancers because I'm like, them knees is going to go, girl. But
okay.
If you can sing, if you can, you know, joke, if you can construct outfits so well that you could do, you know, that you could sell garments and that kind of thing, I'm always like, okay, I don't have to stay up nights worrying about this particular queen. But there really are a bunch of them who I absolutely love, who I'm like, okay, but what's the retirement plan here? Because when you get to a certain level of fame, you spend a lot, but making a lot becomes an ever kind of elusive goal.
Like, I'm not coming for him because I think Kebo and I did a rewatch of Friends, and we found that the hottest friend, it is a tie. It is not, in fact, Matt LeBlanc by a country mile. Schwimmer's got some sex appeal, and
but are we just talking boyfriends?
Yeah, I mean of the main.
Yeah,
I mean
okay.
The main six.
I think you're already completely off. The hottest one is Chandler, but the hottest friend overall is Phoebe.
Well, this has gone deeply off the rails, like trying to figure out how they afford that apartment. But I know rent control. And so my thought, though, is like David Schwimmer has aged into a very different looking man than I maybe would have thought David Schwimmer would age into. And when your job is, and like I'm using that because he's still very handsome, he just looks a little different than I would have thought he might have in these specials because he took so much time out of the spotlight, really. These drag queens are putting themselves through such hell to make their beat look so flawless. And I try to think about what some of these girls are going to be contending with as their faces change, as their bone structure changes. You know, and some of the most beautiful girls who have made the decision to transition to, you know, their happiest, truest self, it changes the structure of their face and they have to work with that, whether it's embrace it or adjust with it. And I just think that like it is so much that like I can make a casual comment. Oh, David Schwimmer's still looking handsome, maybe different than I would have thought he would have. But you think about some of these girls who are like Jujubee, you know, JoJo, we were just talking about how Jujubee's been on 4 editions of the show. And that's a drag queen who's been in every iteration of herself on air. And like, she's had to adjust.
So I think there are 2 ideas floating around here. One of just drag queen retirement, and that's one of those things that you hear a couple of queens on the show, queens off the show, your local queens kind of talk about. It's a career that it's like they often don't think that's who I want to be. I'm going to be the 70-year-old drag queen still doing tipping numbers. And not, you know what? No shade to them. Get your work, mama. I respect it. Do what you got to do. But it's like a lot of performance careers. Eventually, the appeal and everything that you have in terms of marketability does diminish over time. I think that's just true of every artistic profession.
Right.
And so that is, you know, I think a concern of a lot of these queens, whether you're on the show or whether you're not, that you kind of have of like, all right, this is my career, but am I going to be doing this for the rest of my life? Am I going to be that, you know, older queen in the room watching the new generation come in? Some of them want to do that, and that's fine. Some of them are like, this is the stepping stone for what I envision myself. The second idea that you guys are kind of talking about is the winner marketability. And what do these winners do with their reign, after their reign? What kind of happens? And I think a lot of that kind of depends on the queens themselves. You know, you talked about Willow, and I don't know if Willow will have a ton to do with the show going forward, but I know that Willow is very happy with the show that she created in Chicago and is creating and cultivating that space for herself and that audience that really loves this very, very intricate look at this artist and how they're displaying their art. And it's weird and it's different and it's very emotional. And there's a lot of things that go into that kind of show. And that's what I think like she really wants to do. I think she also she talked about how she maybe wants to make a movie. And
well, I just wish she would change her name to Lil Big Pharma. I feel like that's just like, you know, she's just a little big pharma.
I'm mad at you now.
Lil Big Pharma.
Big, huge fan. I also hate people. So I really, really respect it.
But, you know, I look at, and not even just name queens that are newer, but like someone like Simone, who's doing a lot with fashion and the appearances at events and getting to walk runways and getting to talk to these designers and wear these beautiful garments. That's what she wants to do. And a lot of, I think, everybody, what they want to do with their reign, with the notoriety that comes just being the winner, being part of the winner's brand, is very different, and I think comes down to their queens. I think queens like Trixie, Bianca, Bob, Sasha Colby have the marketability of like, no, we're going to tour. Let's go bring our art to the road.
Listen, Amazon had the RuPaul Little People set on sale, and I ordered it, and it just arrived, and Kevo just messaged me. Oh, you muted, handsome.
I said mother has arrived.
Mother has arrived.
A little pop-up comes up when you try to talk and you're muted. That's so helpful. Thank you, StreamYard.
Thank you, StreamYard.
Yeah.
Sponsor us.
Please. But yeah, I ultimately, what someone wants to do with the show and their reign is going to ultimately come down to the type of queen they are and the type of art that they like to deliver. Some queens, I think, are naturally going to lend themselves to this idea of going on a tour, whether every year, every other year. Won't say easy, but easier for them in terms of the skills that they have and they want to showcase and their art style. Some queens don't want to do that, and this was a means to get more fame, get in contact with and network for other opportunities for different things that they want to do. At the end of the day, I respect everybody's decision of what they want to do. Let me get my pageant answer. At the end of the day, to answer the question and answer form, what is a RuPaul's Drag Race career? Whatever the queen wants to make of it.
You know, I really love that, because I do think that one of the things that Bianca has done is she's made a career for herself that's still connected to Drag Race, but also has its own space. She did make a joke that was, Ross Matthews isn't hilarious if he has to say he's hilarious. And I just want to say, sweetheart, if you need to let us know that this is a comedy tour, you're doing something wrong. So no one's confused what Bianca Del Rio is doing up on the stage. But thank you for reminding us you're funny. I'm only jabbing because she came so hard for my precious Ross. And he is my precious little Ross.
Okay, he does chew those shirts on us a lot.
Oh, no. And I mean, I'm so happy for him. And whether it's the Wizard of Ozempic or whatever he's done to get himself to that happy place, I believe in him. I also just want to say, Tasty Cake, I was literally having a conversation with hot older boyfriend about Parliament House earlier today. Like literally. So
I feel like she mostly came hard at the gays because she's allowed to, and so that's to be expected. Not to segue us too quickly, but I think one of the funniest jokes that she made was the release schedule of Drag Race that we are currently seeing, of it being on top of itself, which is why this episode's cover is another Snatch game already. When we had one last week, why did we debut a season? Well, it's exhausting, and I thought that was one of the funnier things that she said. That was really true, where it's just constant. It's constant. And she's asked, "Oh, did you see the new season? Which one?" That's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. And she also kind of confirmed a little bit that they do film it beforehand. And that's not like, ooh, insider tea. You know that they do this. And I the only reason why I can say this, and I don't know if Kevo, you won't have the reference for it, but TK, I'm sure you will. For season 12 pit stop, it's gonna make sense. Season 12 pit stop, when it was airing, was during COVID. And the first 5 or 6 pit stop episodes, Bob has the guest in person. Oh, he left. But after, they're from home, so we kind of have an idea of the schedule of the pit stop. But she's not wrong in that it is a time commitment. It'd be a while. I know it's probably a couple weeks earlier than the episode actually releases, but it's still fascinating. That is a long time commitment, because Bianca also did 2 seasons. She did pit stop for All Stars in a regular season.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was really sitting around thinking about, like, are they giving the queens advanced screeners? Because it also feels more and more like they're only finishing cutting episodes a couple weeks ahead of time. So anyway, I just have lots of questions.
I'm so sorry, and we're gonna get to those questions, but guys, I am humbled.
You're an asshole.
And I am shattered to pieces. Guys, somebody wants to come on and say hi on our little show. Guys, RuPaul is here, guys. You better work.
Oh, you did get it.
Yeah. Hello,
That's
Mama.
very cute.
It was
And
on
her
sale
sisters.
on Amazon for like $6. I had to.
Well, I mean, at these prices, how can
Actually,
one?
yeah, kind of. $6. That's
Ages
insane.
1 to 101, which still doesn't include RuPaul.
No, she's too old for it. No toys for Mama.
No toys for Mama.
She might choke on them.
I had to.
This is how I feel about it. Our parents had Precious Moments figurines, and we have our dumb pop culture figurines that we love and are dumb and are cute and will make us smile when we are senile.
and we cannot wait to maybe have a secret one stashed away or something. I don't know, and we'll see what happens. But I really do love this idea of talking about where the show has gone. And I know I missed a moment of show, but I was listening, and I do think though that you've really opened the gates for talking about this episode. So I want to, before we get too episodic, just say a fond farewell to our previous topic with, I just want to say the Dead Inside tour gave me a strong B+ vibe. If it was a damn Tasty Cake 17 Pop Funkos of yourself, it maybe has gone too far, but it's a too far that I'm into. You could play a sport against yourself. That's always at least multiversally arousing. So if this had been a filmed special, there's bits I would have skipped, but the most magical parts where it felt like she was evolving, it felt like she was making the jokes change. You could hear that one joke she literally says, do you guys remember that COVID thing last year? Mama.
Yeah.
COVID was literally, like, do you remember when that ABC TV show Dinosaurs was on? Right. But the other side of it is she had jokes that were like, do you hear this? Beyonce is going to do a country album because she's going to win album of the year. Like, she immediately riffed on something from earlier this year. And, so you could see that this is not just some old special. This is an evolution of ideas. The more recent ideas, maybe 8 more, but B+, I really had a great time.
Yeah, I'd go again. I'd go see her again. This was a really good impression. I'd been concerned, but it was a really good show.
It was a B+, yeah, B+, A- for me. I don't know. I just love stand-up comedy. I'm kind of easy to please in this context. Nothing anybody has said is wrong. Like, this is not cutting edge humor. And there is definitely a vibe that's like, okay, if you are over 40 and think being queer in and of itself is transgressive, you are set at this show. This is
we got a Substack for you.
This is where you go to be naughty. But I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there who are younger and who have a different perspective, who are doing really subversive material.
Like the 16-year-old who asked her, has anybody been dead inside you?
Exactly. That girl needs,
Icon.
as Bianca said, you need to get on TikTok, right? We need to get you on TikTok right now.
And it was really funny because Bianca does her whole I hate kids thing. I hate kids thing, but she ultimately shows how much she loves them throughout the show.
Yeah.
It's like me. I hate children, but I can like child at a time as a teacher. There can be a kid where you're like, okay, you're going to be something when you grow up. I'm going to make sure that you get there. The rest of you, leave me alone. And like, so I get it from Bianca.
You have 2 nephews you love.
Oh, yeah, no, they're great.
I think
I love my dog. So
that's a child for sure.
Yeah, it is. So let's talk about a child for sure.
Me.
Let's talk about a truly precious, sacred little baby.
Definitely still me.
Oh, for sure. We love you.
Really, her baby.
We love you completely. And we've never voted you off of the drag island. But this week, we lost the most sacred little wee baby from MILF Island, US. But we did not lose the sacred little baby from MILF Island, UK. And here's my problem. I agree with sending Plasma home under these circumstances, right? So to get political for Rue for a moment, if you're a Nate Silver kind of guy, you knew that there were 2 paths to Trump's original victory, and he got one of them. Like, and that was a thing. There were like 2 paths to Maya staying and Plasma going. And one of them involved really bad food poisoning. And the other one was this. And likewise, over in the worst version of Snatch Game I have ever seen, since I don't even have a joke ready that bad. Tia Coffee chose to save someone who there was literally only two ways for them to stay. And one of them was, what if the world turned into an apocalyptic comedy and everyone else died? And then the other one was this.
All right, Doctor Strange, you seeing your billion.
So where do we want to start with this?
Well, I want to start in the US because
Okay.
I don't really have the
Home field advantage.
So, let's just say here, first and foremost, that we are never haters.
No.
And however the chips fall, they do. We have never, even in each other's company while shit talking quietly to ourselves, never really said anything that I would be like, let's not make that public.
every one of these performers, no matter what I just said to be funny.
Yeah, love them all.
Love them to pieces, and
Love
their
them all.
talent is excessive.
And I just should it ever get back to anybody, I just want to say, because we've swung all the way around to any sort of hate for any queen is just beyond stupid, and that we all understand that, or are garbage people. Those are the only things. But we're starting to swing around into something that happens on the show as well, where somebody goes like, well, I thought you would be in the bottom because I didn't think you did as well. And then it cuts to that queen being like, she is so shady and she hates me and she wants me dead.
Her outfit is shit, her look is shit, her makeup is shit, her hair is shit, she's shit.
And
would never
it
say
just
that.
kind of feels like sometimes in the online discourse, we have swung all the way around to, you can now no longer be like, I kind of thought, and I'll be the one to say it, I kind of thought Maya was going home this week. I didn't want Maya to go home. I love Maya. I was hoping that there would eventually be a Lollapalooza, that Maya would win because she nailed every single one. I like Maya. I love what Maya does. I thought Maya would go home. I thought she was the best candidate to go home. I still love her. I would have been so happy to see her do all kinds of stuff. It is just in the calculus of what I thought could and should happen. That was my thing that made the most sense. And my only problem is not that, well, now I'm mad because I wanted Maya to go and she didn't go. It is that I don't understand how we are getting to any of these decisions writ large across the season. The guys argued with me very much in favor of the fact that Maya absolutely killed this lip sync, and end of story. That is why she deserves to stay. I don't disagree that she killed the lip sync. My argument is that I don't think killed the lip sync has always saved a person. So I've just, this season especially, become so completely confused by what the rubric is. And I know it is RuPaul's show and the final decision is hers to make, but I feel like we've gone beyond, well, this person is using their critical eye to make the decision, to these decisions make no sense and don't try to make sense of them. And that's where I'm at.
Let's get a couple of things. Let's get it together before we want to read. And it's not a TK. This is just a general.
Yes.
Let's have some reveals, some
Reflections.
reflection.
I like
Number
it.
one, we can uplift Plasma, say we loved her, talk about what endeared this queen to us so much without tearing Maya down. That is a general to the audience.
But are you going to point out that she looks like a Claire's died on her?
No, she looks like a Hot Topic employee who just got off of work.
I think she looks like a 1950s checkered diner vampire.
These are all great. Keep going.
Which one?
Plasma.
It's giving. I work at Spencer's.
Yeah.
I really can only shop from there as well.
It's giving
Oh.
a Sunday morning cartoon strip Black Lodge from Twin Peaks.
Listen, I knew this girl in middle school. This is the first girl I ever came out to. Her name is Zoe Hess. She lived down the block. Her families were hoarders. This is a very real, very, very haggy young woman that I'm sure actually existed in Plasma's life.
This is the first girl that I dated for 2 weeks in middle school,
Yep.
and then realized I was gay and broke it off without giving a real answer. So, Maddie, if you're out there, I'm sorry.
Her
Okay.
whole
That's-
shirt looks like braces. I'm done.
That Spider-Man meme of Mary Jane turning around and yelling, "He said no pickles!" That's this fag hag right here.
We love her. We can also look at a lot of people were like, oh, she's gonna make it to the top 4. She has the stuff. However, this was a design challenge.
Yep.
And she talked about it herself.
Yep.
She didn't feel comfortable designing. And she said in Untucked, I can sew, I just don't like to. She's sewing as a part of drag as an art form
And
is
important,
important
she even says.
as everything, because a lot of the time drag really was, I have to make it myself because I can't go get it. For societal reasons of not being able to buy clothing that wasn't assigned to your gender, because that was a thing. I mean, people probably don't even know that. Or, just not having their own confidence of, I'm going to go out and go get this at a thrift store or whatever. But it's not always a part of everybody's drag.
At Morticia's dress for less and I'm done.
You're an idiot.
But she absolutely made her mark. She had 2 solo challenge wins. She had 2 things that were so important to her that she got to showcase, to bring to the stage. And sometimes the chips fall where they may lie, and that was here. It was very fascinating because this is a person that, they're a front runner. They've done well throughout the competition. But at the end of the day, we're now at the top 8, and we're splitting hairs to get to the bottom. And unfortunate for Plasma, Maya happened to be the person who she was lip sync against. And Maya is a phenomenal performer, hands down, point blank, period. I love. I've seen a lot of resurgent or surfacing of Maya in the ballroom scene. So her, the way that she was dancing was just kind of perfection. It was really incredible what she was able to do in that dress, which is insane. The talent on this woman is insane. Number 2, my second point that I had to talk about. Dawn did not sabotage Plasma. What Dawn said as advice.
Everyone knows that. Any logical person knows.
Yes,
I said any logical person.
Listen, you don't have to like my cousin, who's also an engineering major and made a fluids joke on national television, and I felt the most seen I ever had in my entire life. Dawn, I love you. I don't know how many weeks I keep saying it in a row. Dawn, I love you. But part of the joke was, RuPaul calling it sabotage, and I'm very happy that in Untucked, Dawn tried to be like, no, I really wasn't trying to sabotage you. It's really not where it's coming from. Plasma saying, no, you didn't. You gave me advice. I chose to take that advice. That is on me.
I do want to say one thing about Plasma that I think I think her talent is so extreme. It's unfortunate that there were 2 design challenges this season. 3, Jesus. And
Gross.
Gross. It's really hard to believe that this unbelievable. She even said, "I don't like to sew." It's just so unfortunate.
It's giving season 3.
But I also want to say, this is another, I don't understand where the critiques are coming from. I didn't think Jane's look was better than hers when they were both in the blue for the dolls.
Oh yeah.
When Law Roach was like, I would have punched her because hers is so much better. I didn't think Jane's was that good. And so this idea that it all built up to, we're on the 3rd one. Last time Jane's was so much better. I've got to do something different. It can't look like Jane's. I can't be myself. We got there from stuff that makes no sense to me. So, I mean, this is all over where I'm just like, I don't understand anything that's happening this season.
I mean, it did give us a beautiful moment of Plaza saying, okay, so then what are you making? Can I see what you're making? And Plane going, no.
I did like that. To something that was mentioned earlier with the fact that Dawn was not sabotaging Plasma, and even Plasma said it. This has been a phenomenal season for kind around the bend shade, the first example of which being Saphira to a mandatory meeting. Your personality is so much better than your drag. Which, immediately nobody was like, oh, that was a really funny, dark read. Immediately Amanda was like, thank you. I know exactly what you meant when you said that. And there's just been all these little moments of people being very funny, shady to each other in a way that's very nice. And a similar one was when Plasma was like, I just shouldn't have listened to your advice. Which, like, Dawn gives like a little bug-eyed moment because, like, it's funny. Like, there's a part of it that's very funny, and it is a humor that has been almost exclusive to this season in how strong it is. But, like, they are just constantly reading each other in ways that make for a really good cut on camera, but don't result in Shangela throwing a drink in Mimi on First's face. And it's very good.
They don't
for,
make them
like,
like they do anymore.
Just
To me,
Shangela, actual perfect.
To me, it's all just very human. Like, I feel
yeah,
like
exactly.
saying that on the runway was just a very human, panicked, telling the story and not thinking about how it's coming out.
Yeah.
And she
RuPaul
says
makes
that
a
Dawn is a
joke.
joke, but Dawn actually just feels some amount of, like, guilt for giving that advice when it ends up like this. It's not actually her fault. It wasn't really sabotage, but it's a human thing to feel when you find yourself in that position.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what we're seeing.
Absolutely. My last point I want to make is on our winner. For my money, I really think Nymphia had really given Q a run for her money for the look. Like, I look at Nymphia and I'm like, gosh darn it, this is incredible. And even what Q made, gosh darn it, this is incredible. I've seen a lot of discourse of people being like, Q's look isn't goth. One, yes, it is goth. Two, the challenge wasn't specifically goth. The challenge was described as neo-goth, taking the goth aesthetic and making it high fashion. Both Q and Nymphia delivered on that. I have my tinfoil hat theory. They didn't want to give Nymphia a third win. So, and they're trying to spread the wins out just a little bit, even though we're at the top 7.
Can I actually ask you a question about that then?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean this really seriously. If Marilyn Manson sang opera, would it be a goth rocker or opera? Because this to me is Harlequin clown, not gothic. Like, the ideas of gothic. So high extremes with low contrasts, with the depth of blacks contrasted across multiple fabric styles and multiple planes. Like, this doesn't fit gothic art. Like, as an art history minor, I don't see it 1%.
So it fits the prompt. You can get away with saying it is aesthetically, from a clothing perspective, inspired by the goth and neo-goth clothing movements of the, starting in the 80s through to, now 2024, because we've just kind of spun around on it again. I agree with you, Nico. Like, I love this. I think this is one of my favorite things Q has done.
Incredible.
I would, and I thought, I said to these guys, I thought it would have been a really cool time for RuPaul to say, this is one of the best looks I've ever seen, doesn't fit the prompt. Because I think that's a really cool way to get disqualified, to not get the win. I think it's a really cool thing to be like, it's not that, like, your skills are unmatched. You just missed the mark on what the specific prompt was. The flip side of it is it was nebulous enough that as RuPaul, I think the safety pins and the netting under the jacket are enough for any person to be like, it's neo-goth inspired. It fit the prompt. She won. Like I said, I don't agree at all. But I'm like,
see the technical merit in the argument.
It's not even that I see the technical merit. I see how the show is just in order
in the argument. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, like,
they're going for it.
I just see the show constantly finding ways to justify nonsense decisions.
I think that really speaks to what you were saying earlier about the ever-changing rubric. And I keep going back to the Lindsey Graham thing, where she was not fucking Lindsey Graham. She was nothing like Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
And that, to me, genuinely should have kind of been a DQ moment. That should have been disqualification. This isn't even like sent her home disqualification. But yeah, I really feel like this is gorgeous, but you didn't do the right homework. So I don't know why you got top marks in the class.
Especially when Nymphia and Dawn just straight up, no questions, did. I personally, I think Nymphia's was actually just better. But like, I mean, again, I think Q's is amazing. I think Q is amazing. It's so weird that like,
wait, I just want to make sure you think she's amazing because you're not a cashew face bitch.
Well, I was about to say, like, I think it's so weird that we're having this thing where it's just like, we can't, we gotta like really not even question these decisions or things get ugly. Just because like I'm really not trying to shit talk her and I really don't ever want this to get back to her. But like I just thought.
Well, I mean, I hope it does because you're not saying anything unkind.
Yeah. I just thought it didn't meet the prompt in kind of like the problem is Saphira's is very similar, but meets the prompt in every way that I feel Q's does not.
And it's down to things like the line variation. It's down to things like the stylization of the cut, the off-center and askew style, the depth of the shoulder into the low hang of the arm when that's not the standard of the rest of it. It's exquisite.
It's also like that it's giving you Black Bride of Frankenstein meets Morticia Addams, and then she was selling it with the eyes, like the ratchet look. Like I thought it was so good. I really wanted to see Nymphia, Q, and Dawn get like some real flowers, and then I didn't want Saphira to win this one in particular. I do want Saphira to get her next win, but like
get that.
This felt to me like not quite her moment. But then like the fact that Q won, it confused me, and it Q-fused me, and with everything else I'm Q-fused about, it's getting really weird to watch this season is what it comes down to for me.
Well, so Jonah, you've had like a lot of, I've seen like I'm next to you and I've seen you itching to get in on it because no one thinks you're wrong if you support this being Gothic. It's art. There is no right or wrong answer except you shouldn't listen to Shane Gillis. So, Kevo, then
Can I say one dumb thing first then?
Yes.
Saphira's dress reminds me of a geode cake. The way it's got like this little bit spilling out.
So
that's
good.
Apt description of it.
So Jonah, go for it.
I think this look can be pushing the idea of goth more. And I will say the show had a very different idea of what it wants to promote as goth, which is TikTok market goth, not actual goth. In terms of what I know as goth, neo-goth, it doesn't hit all the marks, say, to someone like Nymphia or Dawn, but in terms of what the show is looking for in terms of goth, I think Q takes it. That is for me to say, I understand why she won. I personally would have given it, like I said, I personally would have given it to Nymphia. I understand why she won. I saw somebody make a comment that Dawn would be the best seamstress on any other season had it not been for the freakish talent of both Q and Nymphia.
Can you imagine being on Mondo's season?
Well, he didn't win the original one.
Bam! The animals.
I know, you don't like her. It's okay. She can't hurt you anymore. She's not on screen. I really love Dawn's look. That's my engineering cousin. There's nothing, I can't talk more about it. Regardless of that, the wins, I actually mean this. Who cares about wins?
You do, because you say that a person can't win the season without multiple wins.
No, I don't. No.
Fair.
No. You have to have a winner's season. You do not have to win multiple challenges. Did you make your mark on important challenges? Did you have such amazing highs that we'll be thinking about it, we'll be talking about it, the next time this challenge comes up, we're going to be talking about it? Has that happened for you? Did you win the challenge? Great. Are you in the top for it? Great. Then you're a winner. You don't have to have the specific amount of wins.
Well, I actually want to engage with that. We just finished season 2. And in the context of season 2, I kept saying, I don't know how Raven didn't win. Raven is my favorite queen from the first 5 seasons. And when I said, I don't know how she beat Tyra, you would say, well, think about how she was on the bottom for the first run of episodes and she didn't have as many wins. And how does that figure then?
The difference of the season 2 is you look at Raven, who took a while in terms of the competition to get the ball rolling, to start doing very well. Towards the end, Raven was doing very well in the competition. She really opened up. She really got to where she needed to be. Up until that point, previously known as Tyra Sanchez, winner, was doing well. Tyra was funny in the ways that Rue wanted.
Calling in bomb threats.
Tyra's fashion was also at that point on a different level compared to the other girls. And she was 21. Tyra was very young. And she was kind of eating a lot of the other girls in terms of their fashion.
And Raja was 1 million years old.
Yes, and she wasn't. It still wouldn't be another year before we got to see her. But you look, and that's probably one of the most contentious wins that, you know, and it's a very unfortunate contention win because a lot of that hate spilled onto James, and it's really unfortunate that somebody broke in that way, regardless of what they done, not excusing a lot of the behavior, but somebody did break because of it. And that is not nice, not kind. But a lot of why Tyra won was because she was never really bad.
Okay,
as much as we didn't see the most likable version of Tyra, maybe, and we can even say that. Towards those latter episodes, she stopped picking fights with people.
Sure did.
She heard what they said on the Bride Challenge and said, "No, I'm going to be better." And that's what she did. She mellowed out. She wasn't picking fights, and she was still excelling in the challenge, in the challenges.
Okay, so you're saying the number of wins don't matter, but there is a value scorecard that exists in the ether where you kind of have to be in a range.
Yes, because you look at season 11 winner, season 14 winner, funny enough, they're both sisters, Evie Oddly and Willow Pill, respectively, only had 1 win each very early on in the season.
And like 6 spoons between them.
Despite all of that, they had plenty of challenges where they made their mark. They made it known. You never thought for yourself, I couldn't not see this person as a winner.
Okay. And that joke was, by the way, made as a fellow spoonie, just to be clear. But I really, really respect that. And I understand the math you're providing and the ways it changes the conversation. I do want to change the conversation for one moment. MLD, my love, you were robbed this week. You should have been given some sort of special award for most 4th place through no fault of your own. Just not chill that you were not lauded. But now I want to bring up a rather divisive moment where I felt Maya summoning up the rose petals made it seem like this thing that gagged fandom for a decade for this bitch is just what she does in a normal lip sync, mama. This is just what she saves for number 4. It's that no big deal for her. Number 3. I am so sorry, my dear. I did not mean to put you in the bottom extra times. You're just so good. It's worth an extra lip sync. And she just drops it early on. And to me, she made it seem like that way that, you know how like people say that Simone Biles is like unfair because she's so talented and she's so good and she makes things that other people seem like they're struggling so hard for. She makes it look so easy. That's what I felt Maya was trying to communicate with the rose petals and then the backflips. There was something about the way she said, "Oh, you're 4-plate max, LOL, 5 plates each side," and then just beasted it with one arm. Like, this was beautiful. But I understand the argument that it seemed kind of like she took her hat off.
The moment with the Sasha Velour moment, and we've talked about it, why I think that maybe had a larger impact on the fandom at large. It was something we've never seen before, that kind of reveal. But also in the lip sync, she's taking off her gloves and there's some rose petals. Like there's
right.
a through line.
There's a narrative reveal.
Yes, and that's a lot of what Sasha Velour does is the narrative reveal. And that was, you know, she carried that over into the finale lip sync for What Whitney song was it?
I Want to Dance with Somebody.
No.
Heartbreak Hotel.
So emotional.
Yeah, no,
So-
that's the the one she did against Peppermint.
Oh, no, the Peppermint was Whitney Houston.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, it was not right, but it's okay.
Thank you.
Oh well, we eventually
There-
got it right, so it's okay.
None of this was right, but
But it was okay.
This was
On
not
the
the
knee!
comedy we intended to bring you at the beginning of the week.
As
No.
Bianca said, as Whitney said,
As you can leave it. You can leave it on the table.
leave it there. There was a through line with that lip sync as well, and that's part of how Sasha Velour communicates her art and her lip syncing style. That's where the rose petals here maybe don't feel as like I have to do something to up the bar I've set for myself, because there wasn't a rose petal through line. It was still entertaining, and we got a very funny talking head saying, "I've never seen a reveal into a beanie," which is hysterical, iconic even. At the end of the day, one, I feel bad saying this, but I like when Maya's in the bottom because I know I'm going to have an entertaining time because she's just that amazing on stage. Point blank, period. She's shy and outgoing. And number two, damn, I feel bad for everybody because if Maya has a bad week, ooh, you might be going home.
yeah, I do want to raise a question because you guys are helping me balance sometimes. I was talking about this with JoJo in the car. We were driving back from Maine, where we just had the most amazing time. Winter in Maine is just one of the most beautiful things you've ever taken in with your eyes. And we were driving home.
Hold on, let's 1 second. It's horrible. Sometimes the snow is nice. It was a
it's beautiful.
freezing
Commercial
wet,
for your
muddy. It was a freezing wet, muddy mess.
It's
I love you
beautiful.
so much. Thank you for coming. I was so glad to have you guys here. But you came at like the grossest possible time, and we should be real about that.
Yes, but I'm trying to help promote tourism throughout New England so that they'll sponsor us. Hey, New England, like and subscribe.
Oh, should I not wear this?
But no, this is a Yankee show. But one of the things I said to Jonah was that sometimes people will turn to me and say, "Oh, maybe you don't like that because you know the source material," or maybe you don't like that because you know music too well. And I'm like, no, I'm just explaining to you because I know music so well. I know the underlying reason your brain doesn't like things the same way you would if it was something you were an expert and had devoted your life to, researching and understanding. And there is something to be said about when you're an expert on something, you feel a unique kinship to the idea. You connect with it uniquely and you're able to express it better than you express anything else. For me, that happens to be music. And I think for Maya, that is dance. And I'm trying to find a way to say this that I won't feel weird about. For me, the winner of the last 10 seasons is Saphira. Let's just stop. It's silly at this point. But I kind of feel like if you don't give Maya literally best lip sync survivor ever, you are missing what I'm seeing. I don't want her to win this season. In fact, I do think even if Maya wins every challenge for the rest of the season, I would have a really hard time accepting her as the winner outright, period. But I will be very disappointed if Rue does not make a special spot in this finale for the most unstoppable. I mean, not since we saw oh gosh, and give me a minute. I'm gonna say her name and it's coming to me because it's delicious. Oh God, help me get me there, babe.
You gotta give me a little more than that.
Oh, she can't be defeated in lip syncing. And she hogged Miley Cyrus.
Oh, Silky.
Silky, nutmeg ganache.
Delicious. There we go. Yeah.
Thank you. I was trying to say she is a pie that I would eat. Silky nutmeg ganache. She performed and provided some of the most unbelievable lip syncery I have ever seen. In fact, it went beyond lip syncery and it was true performance art. It was cool to see her refuse to lose. And that is how I'm feeling about Maya. It is really cool seeing her refuse to lose. And I really hope that is remembered. Her spirit is so indomitable. This is the stuff legends are made of for me. And I think Maya is cultivating a really one-of-a-kind legend. Let's wrap this one up so we can talk about how confused I am by the UK. I give this episode overall a why did you send Plasma home? But I do also give it a I'm glad we kept Maya. But I also give it a give Saphir the damn win. And yet I give it a Q could have been second place one more time for my shigs. How about you guys?
Overall, a really good episode. Will say would prefer they don't use TikTok versions of songs anymore. Just like
Truly, forever.
We've done it once. You never have to do it again, please. I know you're trying to milk in that TikTok crowd. No. 2, congratulations to the winner. 3, Plasma, you will be absolutely dearly missed
Forever.
4, Maya, I want to come see you live, so I don't know. I'll be looking at your schedule to try to figure out when I get to see you live. 5, God, I thought Morphine looked gorgeous, but it just not the best. Not the best. A week of she didn't do bad. Other people just happened to do a lot better. And 6, me punching the air because I just want Dawn to get a win. I'm rooting for my engineering sister. It's fine.
There is some Menal we invoke the change in the traffic lights. He's sorry shit going on with the fact that Dawn won't die.
I mean, yeah. Dawn and Morphine are in a really weird place. And frankly, Maya, they're all there for weird reasons. And I don't get this season at all. I
had a specific question for you, TK, because we didn't watch Untucked with you. I'm so sorry. I had a specific question for you.
Yeah.
I have one last part, but please go.
Plain Jane's humanity in accepting criticism was the least Bostonian thing I've ever seen. True or false?
Boston people come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Emma Frost is from Boston.
No, there's what?
Bostonians are capable of incredible acts of deception.
There are 2 sizes of Bostonian. It's Rachel Dratch and Ben Affleck.
Yeah, Ben Affleck, I think, is capable of great deals of deception. Great amounts of deception. And, I think Plain is seeing that she's kind of in her particular home stretch. And again, I would say if this were season 15 or before, I would be like, she knows she's in the top 4. But now my thing is like, well, maybe she's not, because maybe tomorrow she'll screw one thing up and be in the bottom with Maya and just have to go home.
Well, she has that potion.
It's true, exactly.
She has it.
So I should say in 2 weeks, she'll screw something up, be in the bottom with Maya and have to go home, because the potion expires next week. So,
I'm going to be surprised when she turns into a llama instead of not being dead.
Wrong.
The potion for Plain.
Mm-hmm.
Plain's potion.
So, yes, I was surprised by the moment where she got read a little bit for the basicness of her outfit and just had to sit with it. I will say it came in the face of 4 people clearly getting unequivocally better critiques that just there's no possible way you are in the top 3. You're not even in the top 4. You are strictly in the middle, and there is mathematics. You can't do anything about it. So she's chill in that moment, because what's worth the energy? She doesn't have a Valentina storyline. She is not this coconut fantasy world I live in my head. She is more.
If I could just ask, did anybody else wonder if Plasma was going to go up and say, "I'd like to take it off, please," in reference to her outfit?
I sort of did, yes.
Oh, when I'm in the bottom for a design challenge, that's what I will say to Rue. I'll be like, "I'd like to take this off, please."
She could still, though, not resist coming after Plasma and Maya a little bit during, she can't not be Plain Jane. That's the thing. So like, did she have a moment where she was like, I know my calculus. It means, Q, Saphira, Dawn, and Nymphia plus me equals I'm number 5th. But
I'm gonna make the donuts, bitch.
she cannot not be a cunt. So she was.
And speaking of her being a cunt, she tweeted, "Unless you're of the caliber of Ariana effing Grande, don't come backstage and let the girls cook." Going forward and going backwards, I'm going to be rewatching. You can see it in this episode. Plain's disdain for Kaya Gerber coming back.
The most Plain and I have ever agreed on anything.
No. How did the entire world not say, "Oh my God, Kaya Gerber? That's Randy Gerber and Cindy Crawford's child"? How did
You mean Isaac
which is so cool?
Goddaughter?
Isaac Mizrahi's goddaughter? Which is
so cool. It's such a fun thing. But like, that is, for one thing, I did not think this was a good look. I think she looked like Kanye West and Lil Pump in that video where they're in the thing. I think
she looks like she is Katie Lang's daughter. You back off.
I also, this is just like Nepo Baby Supreme. You have not done anything that I care about. You're gorgeous. You're literally a model. You literally look like Cindy Crawford.
Yes. And the weird thing, I think Cindy Crawford is like one of the few models that was always body positive. As far as
Cindy Crawford.
I am so pro Kaya Gerber.
We can love her mom.
Yeah, Cindy Crawford is the shit, and I'm sure Kaya Gerber is the shit too.
Quickly.
My standard for this everybody going backstage thing still has Sarah Michelle Gellar at a slightly cringe. Sarah Michelle Gellar, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, my third big sister, and I was like, maybe we don't send her backstage. So I'm not letting the Nepo baby daughter of Cindy Crawford just go back there and be like, let me tell you about slaying. Just not here for it.
Plain's best friend of Nymphia also just did not give any kind of reaction at all. I do not think she knew who this was.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Nymphia was just unbothered.
Yeah.
All right, Kevo, like the final boss on the third disc of a PS1 game, close us out on this. What are your last thoughts? That's a Final Fantasy VII reference. What are your last thoughts on Season 16, Episode 9, where we lost one of the, I think, unquestionable frontrunners of the season?
I'm going to, I think, repeat a refrain I sang last week, which is, we have so many queens left, and I don't know what challenges we have left. And I think See You Next Wednesday was kind of an example of that in the first place. I think how many girls struggled to hit the mark. The variety of different interpretations of goth, which is, I think, part of why they had to give it to Q. Because, I even love Saphira's, but I think it's a little, I don't know if it necessarily...
Mother of the Corpse Bride?
I guess it's
think
very...
the skirt is a little too high. If she lowered it just a little bit, I think that might have helped. I think the silhouette is a little off for me. Maybe that's
sure. But yeah, no. I am curious to see what challenges are yet to come. We know that we have a music video next week, which seems to be somewhat political, so I guess we're not going to get a debate this year, or maybe we're going to get 2 political challenges. Hard to say. But how many weeks do we have left? How many challenges are there left?
We have 3 more eliminations before we're at a top 4. And then we usually do a top 4 episode where they do a music video or something. Then we'll do
this year.
Then we'll do the reunion and then the finale. So unless there's a double elimination, it should probably be 5 or 6.
It's going to be crazy. I can't wait to see how it goes because, I think for me, the top 3 is Plain Jane and Nymphia and Saphira. But as much as I think that 4th spot is going to go to Dawn, Maya won't die. MLD gets better every single week. And Q is undoubtedly talented. And so there is no easy elimination left in this season. So we'll have to see. Okay, there's an easy elimination left in UK versus the world. And let me say why. Gothy Kendall is a pop queen. Gothy Kendall, mama, you'd get my money. I'd listen to you. I would play you on YouTube. I would love your shit. If I could get you as a skin in a fighting game, I would love to see you tear shit down. You are so cool and you're likable. You're lovable. You're a real person. You are talented. You are not giving what she's looking for this year, so that Rue doesn't have the ability to send you home is the only reason you're still here. You are so talented. You could best me in any field, but gosh, you're really not hitting the mark. And Tia Coffee keeping you was the most letting your little brother play kickball shit I've ever seen.
Two things. One, Gothy's huge problem is this lack of confidence. Even the confidence to say, I'm not doing great, you can send me home, which was essentially what she said, but in this really like, I don't know if I have it. Instead of just saying, you know what, I might not have it. If you want to send me home, I totally understand. Which even Roxy Andrews, who is the other really big example where people will not send her home even though she doesn't have it. Roxy says at one point, because I always, if you send me home, no tea. If you keep me, no tea. She was completely unbothered by whatever happened. And Gothy she has no conviction. And in a way where I'm just like, I'm so sorry that this is how you're feeling. It is really tough to have confidence. It is not a moral failing. It is not a failing of skill or talent. But it is something that if it's not going to happen, you've got to shit or get off the pot in some capacity. And that seems to be like part of what she cannot in any way do. When Rue challenged her over and over again to just give me Ozzy, and she just couldn't do it. That's a real
Stop. You barely tried.
You've got to stop. You've got to stop and wonder what the hell's. And she picked another character, but she was having the same problem. She didn't ask herself, what is up with my confidence? She just picked a different character and did the same thing with that character. So that sucks for her, and I'm really sorry because I do love her. She's gorgeous. She's really cool. I thought I loved her in season 1. I thought she was just a riot. And the confidence thing we saw in that season too, and it was kind of shitty then too, because you knew a lot of it was about her physical appearance, and that's really not fair to anybody. The UK is sort of always a slightly different game.
Which, real quick, how is this not Dr. Rue and the Companion Queens? I just need to know.
Dr. Rue, we got to do at some point. I'm obsessed with that idea.
Ooh,
why have we not pitched that?
That'll be a bigger broadcast.
The idea that what Tia says is one of you is amazing and one of you I think has room to grow in this competition. And she's right. Gothy could acquire her confidence over the next few episodes and do something. It is actually totally possible. She has room to grow here. Where Kita is amazing and is kind of sinking or swimming on different merits. You could not survive American Drag Race saying you're not very good, but I really think you could grow in this competition. When people say that, somebody says this is not the place to grow. This is why a mandatory meeting.
School for girls.
School for girls. This is why a mandatory meeting is no longer with us, because even Saphira, who loves everybody and literally goes up to the girls and hugs them when they're sad, was like, I don't think this is the place for you to grow. If you don't have it now, you're going home, and then you'll slay as you learn. So the idea that Tia said, like, I think this is if you stay, you're gonna grow, I think is two things. One, I think it's a much more British thing. I think it's a much more like our culture is a bit more polite. It's maybe a bit easier going. It's a bit less cunty. Also, it really speaks to this idea for me that, again, I think
Minji.
Thank you.
Ginger
I think this should be a charity competition or something where the stakes are a little lower, because
So you think that the drag queens should be serving steaks for charity?
you nailed it. That's exactly. I think I actually think
piss poor.
Drag Queen International House of Steak for charity, a phenomenal idea. World of Wonder, call me. I know where to get some prime USDA choice beef. No, I just think this is, if this doesn't feel like the international stage of the best for drag, because it can't, for a lot of reasons that I won't get into. But I think this is the example that this person was like, yeah, hang out and grow a little.
Oh no, I love that that's your read of it. My read of it is, I made a strategic decision. I'm keeping somebody who I know I can beat down the competition. There's nothing wrong with Tia doing that. Will it work out for her? Who knows? Was this the time to be making a move like that? I don't know. That's up for debate, really. There's nothing wrong with playing a little bit of a social game in something like in an all-star season where Rue is not making the decision of who is and isn't going home. It's up to your fellow competitors. Making those alliances, making those bonds might keep you in the game, because someone might say, I like her just a little bit too much to send her home right now. And that's fine.
My friend. We do bookings together.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I do think this was a little bit of a strategic move. I don't know if... I am not somebody who does these social games. I don't play... Obviously, I haven't been on one. I don't know if now is the time to do it. We will see how it turns out. That is just my opinion, that it was a strategic decision to send home somebody who was a little bit of bigger competition.
As somebody who's been playing a social game with these three fools for the last... Anyway, no. So, I do want to ask a question, though, about one of the things that we're kind of circling here. And I want to... Kevo, could you please bring us back to that beautiful image of Snatch Game you had prepared?
Yeah.
I am really frustrated because I feel horrible saying this, but both of these Manny Pacquiao performances we've gotten in the last calendar year are two of my favorite Snatch Game performances ever, because nothing turns me on more than making a homophobe look gay. But didn't we already have Manny Pacquiao? Didn't we already have Fran Drescher? Didn't we already have Kim Woodburn? Haven't we already had a larger-than-life pop figure from a non-US speaking territory? Didn't we already have a vaguely pervy version of Shirley Temple in the last couple of years? As far as these last three, I kind of hate to say it, because one of them is probably my next to be eliminated, even though I believe in Chorice's talent. I kind of think only the last three really showed a whole lot of unique thinking. Not that the others were purposeful copies, but there's hive mind mentality where everybody thinks the same things are funny. I would give it to these last three queens, and kind of I would have made it Scarlett and Tia, to be frank, just because they did something that broke free of the hive mind. This was Jimbo's Shirley Temple, kind of tamped down, and I don't believe that is what Hannah, who I am on this show a very vocal supporter of, I do not believe she was, going in and Amy Schumering the jokes. But I think perhaps at times you maybe Dane Cook a thing or two that you've heard somewhere else. And I don't know. How do you guys feel about the fact that I genuinely feel like we could say we've seen roughly some version of 5 of these performances in the last couple of years?
There's something to be said about take what somebody did and just kind of do it yourself, and it'll probably work out for you. It is one of those things where I really wish they maybe chose somebody a little bit different that spoke to a little bit more of who they are in terms of as a person. That's something that's easier a little bit to tap into. The best part of role playing advice, if you're not a trained actor, and this is what it is. This is just role playing.
Train pride.
Is to kind of play a version of yourself. Okay, we saw a couple of people do that. We've seen people, some people like Candy or Silky, kind of tap into what makes them magnetic. How do we turn that into performance? And we've gotten some great performances out of them, of things that were funny and the things that we've enjoyed. You don't want to just do what you're doing. You still want to have a little bit of a light layers and impersonation elements. It was a little like, did you what led you to choose these characters really? And there is also something to be said about the McDonald team, where RuPaul kind of got in this idea of, I didn't think any of you were funny in the first go around, so I'm just not going to volley with you at all.
She was mean.
She kind of gave them nothing really to work with, and that's kind of like the liberty of Snatch Game, which is why like I don't really want RuPaul to host it anymore, even on US, because it's less about impersonation and comedy skills and improv, and it's now, did you take RuPaul's advice? Did you do the one thing that RuPaul pissed herself in the workroom about? And
it should be T.S. Madison. It should be
Yes.
somebody who only has limited engagement with the queens, who is a master of comedy, who understands how to make something funny and riff with new people and bounces into any situation effortlessly. It should be somebody with that kind of like charisma.
And I'm going to say this, I don't think it was going to win, but it's perfectly serviceable and, good. Le Grand Dames, I don't know the model.
Carla Bruni.
Carla
Carla
Bruni
Bruni, thank you.
was actually pretty good. It was fine. RuPaul just kind of had to stick up her ass and didn't really want to interact with it.
Did she come off anti-Francophile?
I feel like it's one of those, my guess is that she is aware.
Off.
She is aware of Carla Bruni and doesn't. Carla Bruni to me is iconic.
Yes!
I know a lot about Carla Bruni, and I think people will make references or misreferences. Like Aja missed a bunch of Fran Jolie references when she did a look that she said was kind of referencing Fran Jolie, and RuPaul just kind of read her down for it. I think RuPaul doesn't know enough about Carla Bruni, and in that moment didn't like it because her lack of kind of worldly knowledge about a style icon was lacking. And so
the next book by RuPaul where Carla Bruni was rude to her at a pancake house.
Yeah, it's going to be something like that. And so
Ellen.
Sorry.
I think she didn't want to interact with this thing that she ought to know more about, given that she's RuPaul and she reads people for not knowing Cher references, but she didn't. So she was really like, I thought it was funnier with the Carla Bruni accent
Yes.
and I think that Le Grand Dame would have made it work. I think RuPaul, and I don't even think this was a reference thing. I think RuPaul, she herself says she can't keep all her own lyrics in her head to get a performance done, which we all get. I mean, we've all been there, but like, I think she might have had some trouble volleying with the language accent barrier. And so it was just kind of a don't do it. But I don't know, like if you feel like you have a really realized concept, and clearly Le Grand Dame is somebody who like doesn't come with second options. Her first option was just fine. Thank you.
I also want to note, Kita and Le Grand Dame on their original seasons won Snatch Game. So it's not that they're not funny.
Right.
I think something to what you were saying, I think there's something about international queens having to do a season where RuPaul hosts, where you now
Great
have to market yourself to the American audiences, because that's where RuPaul wants to market it the most.
Yeah.
And so a lot of maybe what they find humorous in their own personal culture and where it comes from can't really be brought, because on top of potentially having an accent, you're now having to kind of bridge a lot of, and comedy is one of the things that is very hard to bridge.
Yep.
A lot of things I think about, throwback to way back when, having our interview with Zach Davidson, talking about how a joke he has with his wife who's Japanese, that it doesn't make sense in English, but it makes sense in Japanese. It is a joke for them. And I think about like, there are things that might not translate well, because that's just how comedy is translating.
Well, and that's like actually something you had to explain to me with season 1 that I didn't understand, was that Tammy Brown speaks alien. And so the things she says are only funny if you're from her home planet. Oodaloo! And so ribs. And so I just did not understand why she thought she was funny. No, but I still don't. And so I don't get it. And so what I want to say is I do think that there is something to be said about the cultural reinterpretation of things that is really sort of fascinating, because I think we could do the Wild Party Lipa Lechusa, Yestin, what's the other one's name? Oh, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Phantom sort of read with the two Manny Pacquiao's that we had this year. First of all, unfortunate that I find the gentleman very handsome, because I'm automatically signed up for the Snatch Game. But there was something so funny about how these two very, very different queens, Melinda and Marina, while their names are just barely anti-syllabic, are as far apart as you can be as queens, and their interpretations yet had such charming overlap, and yet the identity of what makes something funny isn't the words you say, but it's the chemical charge behind it. And Marina can't help but be beautiful, and Melinda can't help but be confrontational. And this, for me, is something I'm going to spend a lot of time thinking about, how these two very different queens came up with similar but diametrically opposed performances of the same monster.
I mean, this was a funny one because Marina did not see Matilda's before coming on, I don't think.
Agreed.
Melinda?
Sorry.
Okay, but let me tell you, if Melinda wanted to do Matilda and
Yes.
the Trunchbull in the same look,
Yes.
I'd be dead.
I mean, that essentially is Manny Pacquiao. So, it's funny because I think there's virtually no chance that Hanaconda didn't see Shirley Temple. But there is no chance that Marina saw Manny Pacquiao. So it is kind of interesting. The question is not just like, can we get away with some light homage / joke recycling / this thing is so obvious that the first person who does it isn't necessarily some genius original joke thinker. They're just the first person that did it. It's also getting to be that, like, with so much Drag Race and so many queens and a limited kind of workable character set, knowledge base, etc., we're probably just going to keep running into this problem. Because, I don't know how obscure a lot of these girls are going to be able to get in order to pull a new character out that really works.
I think there's just so many celebrities that still haven't been done, or maybe didn't. I would also be like, all right, who wasn't done the best? I'm going to make it better.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of great choices that some people didn't have the most successful Snatch Games at, that I think that, people should be looking at as options.
I mean, I guess my thing is, like, there are a ton, but the list starts to become people that, like, I don't think anybody but real comedic geniuses or people with a plan can do. And as we have seen on Drag Race so many times, sometimes people pick characters that are like, Morphine, just no reason not to have been at minimum safe with Anna Delvey. Just no reason whatsoever. If you watch that Netflix show once, you are fine. And she's rightfully in the bottom. So, like, I don't know, if you tell me, like, well, nobody's done Christina Applegate, good fucking luck.
I think that's even the better argument should be conceptual challenges. We are doing 90s boy band and girl group Snatch Game.
Yeah.
And so, like, you get a really dragged out Justin Timberlake. It's an all-star season, and it's Shangela. And Shangela shows up as Justin Timberlake, but she kind of doesn't get it, and she's doing Michael Jackson, but it's fine. And it made Rue laugh, so it's just going to be okay. Like, you could challenge it up. Ultimately, I don't know. Gothi is such a talented performer, and I would be paying to see her. I just don't think I want to pay to see her on UK versus the World. And I think Ketamine had so much to offer. Like many people in their 30s facing a hard world, I think Ketamine has so much to offer. And and I'm disappointed to see her gone. I just wish every UK versus the world, every All Stars was group challenge that kept people. That was the All Stars season 7 rules, because I don't want to see any of these girls go home. But I do think we're losing the wrong girls if somebody has to go.
Yeah. Someone made this kind of comment, and it feels like in between seasons, Gothi hasn't really gained any confidence. And it's fascinating seeing somebody have the ability, the time to kind of lift herself up. Figure out, okay, if I ever get invited to do a UK versus the world, even if that wasn't a thing back when her first season came out, it's, okay, what do I do? And it feels like she's still, like she kind of just walked off that set onto this one. And it's a little bit heartbreaking to see somebody who, if they just kind of let, to quote the icon, the queen, Lucy LaDuca, let loose, I will not pay royalties for that. I think that she could do a lot better, and she could just have a little more fun on the season. But it is, I don't know, it is something to when someone's like, no, like, I don't know if I can really do this. Or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't even want to play like card games with something. If somebody's like, "Oh, we're playing Uno," I don't know, man. I'm like, then don't fucking sit down.
Yeah.
This is Drag Race. This isn't Uno, and this is second run Drag Race. This is like you've already seen the best of the best because you were on stage with them. This is a little bit of a tough sell.
I agree.
Okay. Let's go to a really tough sell.
Ah!
When you took Peppermint from me, I said transphobic, but I said maybe I can change you. When you took Bergie from me, I said big dong phobic.
Bergie's fat dick in sweatpants from me.
I said, oh Lord.
I said
not my burgerlicious.
Not my burgerlicious.
Y'all got any boiled eggs?
So vulgar.
Oh my god, right? We sound like Q in Untucked. When you took any number of amazing people from me,
Pete doing bicep curls.
Well, that's my point even.
Okay.
Now you've taken Pete and Phaedra.
See, I thought you were just going to say now that you've taken Phaedra. I didn't think you were putting Pete in that group.
No, you took Beauty and the Beast. And so, like, now I don't know what to do. And Gaston and the candle guy. I know his name is Lumiere. I'm just trying to sound silly. And so, like...
and also John is not Lumiere. He's the little clock man.
Oh, fucking God. I completely forgot that John was gone because no one cares. So
John is the most faithful among us. What do you mean no one cares?
Peter is the most faithful of the faithful, and that is why
I'm so proud of myself for screen capping this. I'm sorry. This is one of my best moments.
No, that is Clayface.
He looks like that stock image of the older white guy who's like,
yes.
That's what he looks like.
Harold.
Don't get me wrong. We constantly take screenshots of me where I look like Clayface's older dying brother. So I completely get it, John. But fuck, man. This guy...
And you're on a show with this.
Oh.
Pilot Pete?
You got to wonder how much, like, Pete didn't want the sweatpants shot to go up till Bergie was gone.
Yeah, true.
The same way Trishelle was like, poverty's gone, I can wear my headband.
I got headbands on headbands.
It's so
I'm the
funny.
headband queen.
Guys, when we talk about Drag Race, we're like, listen, we just want to be really clear that each one of these people is a beautiful person.
Oh, no.
And as soon as we start
100% the opposite. I just want to be really clear that each of these people is garbage. Absolute trash.
I don't care.
Sorry.
With, some minor exceptions. I don't know that MJ is garbage, but I
don't know who this woman is.
MJ is literally she is the protagonist of every novel about being a teenager. She is Go Alice. She is
guys
all of
talk
the
to me?
Animorphs.
Bella Swan.
She is the children and the babysitters in the Babysitters
Okay,
Club.
but she got.
She
she
is
got the
every
shield
boxcar
this week.
child.
She
She
no,
didn't need it, but she
no,
got the shield.
and
this
that's why
week.
we're giving her all the protagonist energy. She
Yeah.
got the shield this week.
Yeah. And it
Get off
really,
the range yourself.
it has over the past couple episodes become a little bit more her show. As she is the one, because like, you know, it was really Phaedra's show this whole time. And then, you know,
Dan blew her up.
I feel like it was 50% Phaedra's show, and then the other 50% was shared by the entire cast. Then Kate came in, took a solid 25% share for herself.
With that lateral lisp that just won't quit.
Precisely. And as we have eliminated people and now Phaedra is gone, I sort of thought that Sandra would start taking up a bigger position, but then she did the horrible pool ball math that nobody will ever recover from. That's why our children aren't getting into college anymore. I want you to know it is the pool ball math that Sandra did there. So it's really on MJ's shoulders to wear the least appropriate outfit for whatever the occasion is that they're going into, and then just to wildly swing through. Like, well, Trishelle said she thought it was Phaedra, so then I definitely thought it was Phaedra, but then Kate accidentally chewed on one of her own hairs, so I thought she was signaling to me to kill Trishelle. So I did kill Trishelle. CT's face was looking weird, so I reshaped it like clay until it looked like a normal face, but that didn't hold for very long. Alan Cumming is the one that's trying to kill us all. Run.
Alan Cumming just keeps turning the gas on, but not letting the pilot light,
Yeah.
so that everybody in the castle is just inhaling fumes.
This is their gas leak year.
Am I crazy? Is CT not in this image?
No, he's right here.
I literally, every time I look at this image, I'm like, oh, I have to find the specific person, and I never find them.
Yeah.
I try to play Where's Waldo, and I just can't.
The only
Yeah.
one not here is Kate because she joined late.
Yeah.
And yet, I'm surprised they didn't replace Deontay with Kate because he winds up leaving the show in the third episode.
I think
I
it's
mean,
why they had
maybe
the survivor, I'm going to light your torch kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would believe it.
I think
This
that's
is
why they
our
gave it extra week.
this is the graphic we have on our budget. It's what they gave us at the beginning of the season.
So yeah, we're in this weird place. CT is the only man left in the crowd. We've got one traitor left. What's that?
I believe Kevin knows the image to show for CT being the only man left.
Oh yeah, because he created something truly genius for this. We've got Kate as the least enthusiastic traitor in the history of this game being played, and I'm counting like in your elementary school when everybody just wanted to go home and they were trying to kill time at the end of the school day, which, don't get me wrong, I say with love and affection, because Kate's disinterest in this entire process is what is in my heart.
It's
There he
borderline
is.
erotic. It is amazing.
Uh
My God.
we're now playing an entirely different game.
Yes.
And I already thought this game was stupid in like a really funny way. The game has never been stupider. Nobody who is left to make determinations about who the traitor is a sharp tack, and the traitor is not a sharp tack. So what are we doing here? I don't know, but I can't wait to find out.
This game is fascinating because none of the actual challenges to win you money have any bearing or anything to do with figuring out who is or isn't a traitor.
Yep.
The only way Phaedra could have kind of maybe survived is if she threw out a name and like campaigned hard as to why this person is the traitor. And that's kind of what you like, how you survive. It's get the target off me, even if it's for 1 week. Figure it out. And when there's so much heat on you, after a little while, that's not going to work a lot. But I think if Kate went to Phaedra and was like, "Hey, let's get Sandra. Sandra's the traitor," they might have been able to save Phaedra this week. I'm not 100% sure, but it is no longer get all the traitors out. It's figure out who the traitor is, get all the faithful out, so I get the most amount of money. while still appearing on the traitor side.
Listen, I really love what you're proposing because it's actual brilliant gameplay, but not since Rob Morrow decided it was time to leave Alaska at the end of Northern Exposure Season 5. Have I ever seen somebody...
Oh, she was on Northern Exposure Season 5? I didn't know that. Alaska.
Oh, yeah. Have I ever seen anybody so eager to get the fuck off a show? This was really Janine Turner following later that episode. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I didn't mean to spoil Northern Exposure Season 6 from 1993.
The only reason I'm letting you get away with all of this is because I'm the man who made this.
I kind of felt pretty good about it. I really think that Phaedra was like, I can't keep lying to Sheree. And it's funny because we sort of thought that Sheree offered very little to the show, but it turns out that, if Phaedra was Baby Bash, Sheree was Frankie J. She had her lifted.
Franklin and Bash.
Yes, higher than the ceiling. Ooh wee, it was the ultimate feeling. Phaedra was made human by Sheree, and having this friend that reminded her of what it meant to not lie, you could see that moment when Sheree was like, just tell me you're not a traitor. And Phaedra was like, ahem! I'm not a traitor.
Phaedra went like back to back rounds of banishment of like having to defend herself, and it was a lot. Mama was tired. I think she was just a little tired, and she was like, all right, there isn't much I can do.
All right.
And that's why even her vote, she didn't sell out Kate. She kind of just did a throwaway vote.
Oh my God, but then hold on. Sandra being like, there's something about the way that Kate said that she feels like Phaedra's been selfish. And I was just like, stop it. I'm only saying that because I do also have a lisp, and I think it's really adorable. She's just so comfortable lisping on TV. As a guy who keeps going, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I just think it's really cool when anybody's that brave on TV.
Brave.
TK, try again for me.
It's very funny that she is that brave, but then also that brave being like, here is my nonsense idea that I can't back up. And it's funny when they're right. Like, that's one of my favorite things about traitors, when they're right, but just their reasoning is absolute nonsense that nobody can get on board with. That is some of the most fun. And I just feel like that's really where we are right now. Poor Cherie just thinks this is like a Housewives versus the world game, which Phaedra would have smothered you to death for real if it meant more money. They just didn't ask her to. Nobody, I mean, like, this is not Bravo Girls. There's nothing. And so she's just playing this game where she's like, as long as I stay loyal to I don't know who, because I don't actually know what's going on here, I'll be fine. Sandra thinks she's playing 4D chess. She's not quite playing checkers. Trishelle left that last brain cell in the penthouse of Las Vegas.
Trishelle is a Trisket. I don't know what else to say.
CT is dying of delirium tremens, maybe? Not clear.
Yeah, I feel horrible, but it literally looks like he is going through some sort of rapid aging on screen.
Kafka's Metamorphosis.
Yeah, no, for real. And like he's
Alan Cumming found that painting that he keeps in his Boston apartment attic. I don't know, but the only person we have left to save the day is MJ. She, I'm really hoping, has some kind of caped moment ready to go. Cape, evening gloves. I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna get through this. I think Kate is going to win because I just don't think this is a group that is prepared to sniff her out. I think maybe the only thing that could happen is CT could physically overpower somebody and win that way. But other than that, this group of faithfuls is in a good deal of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's straight up Ireland, this situation. There are so many troubles. And one of the things that I find myself most curious about is, I keep referencing it because, we have always really, as a couple, Kevin and I have always really latched onto Studio 60 as a linchpin of when things go horribly wrong.
For television and society?
Both. And
Yes.
also for a brilliant writer with a singular plan. And oh my God, Queen Mama. Like for real, you know, people are always like, oh wow, Khaleesi, and I'm like, Phaedra. You know, when we think about writers with a singular plan, we think about Studio 60, and there's two jokes that really come to mind for that. And this is not the comedy we intended when this night began. And also the Disaster Show, which I've referenced like 15 times, because it really represents that sort of almost Rube Goldbergian mousetrap idea. And when they intended this season, they put in power one of the most sinister housewives and one of the most cunning Big Brother players of all time, and gave them free range of some of the most competitive people from reality television history, plus some politicians. And we all know that politic, blood-sucking insect, they knew what they were doing with John. And so I find myself sort of fascinated that the comedy intended at the beginning of this season cannot possibly be the comedy we have now, as Kate was not in the episode where they picked the traitors or the traitors picked their third person. Kate literally represents the giant size, all new, all different X-Men. This cannot be what you guys intended with number one. And I think there's something to be said about the unbridled limitlessness of the future of reality television. I think about early seasons of shows, and if you told me somebody who wasn't even in the first episode found themselves the main focus of the finale, I might have been truly discontented. But I think about what Kate represented for that first season and what Below Deck represents for reality television at large, and I find myself charmed. This is so stupid, I just can't root against it.
What if it were Kate as she is, but she was not on the first season of Traitors?
No, then I would not like it.
Okay.
It is that I had such an incredible journey with Kate. There are literally episodes of season one where she goes, "Then send me home. I hate all of you."
If it was someone brand new, it actually, I think, would be unquestionably bad. The fact that it's Kate at least makes it really great and funny and fun and interesting.
So who from season 2 is coming back for season 3 for you?
MJ!
Ooh.
Janelle.
Pepperman.
Janelle.
No, not Peppermint.
Janelle.
I was going to guess that Nico was going to say Janelle, but I do love MJ as an answer.
And I think she should just be sent
I
home
can sue.
first. Oh my God. Not my ex.
I can sue.
Lord,
Oh, Lord, baby Jesus, not I can sue.
No.
Oh,
Fergie's
I can see-
penis.
No.
Just the dick print.
Okay.
Sold. Nico, you haven't given your honest answer, and we all know who it is.
No,
It's Johnny Bananas. It's Johnny Bananas.
Johnny Bananas for the rest of my life. I am. Oh my God, Johnny Bananas is the most perfect man that has ever appeared on television. I can't even begin to tell you. He's funny, he's smart, he's athletic, he's charming, he's intelligent, he knows when he's outmatched. Johnny Bananas is the perfect man.
He had the banana brand before Nymphia.
Oh my God, he had the banana brand. And look at this suit. Look at this suit with the pink pockets. Oh my God, Johnny Bananas is perfect. But here's the thing. Johnny Bananas is not somebody I want to see lie his way through an entire season.
Well, the person that comes back is not necessarily going to be a traitor.
Correct.
No, but I think everybody
gotta
has
play.
to lie. You know, there's a poet, and she actually had a hair metal band. This is such a weird reference. There's a poet and hair metal woman named Myra Ellen Amos.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
She
Where
once
is this going?
said, if
Don't push
you
him out.
love enough, you'll lie a lot. And I think if you want to be a traitor, you need to lie a lot. And if you want to be a faithful but make it to the ending, bitch, you need to lie twice as much.
What name did you say?
What?
What was the name?
Myra Ellen Amos. That is her birth name.
Helen Myra.
Helen Myra?
Mirren.
Oh, I hear that. No, but Myra Ellen
don't.
Amos. That's her legal name. So
I think we've said everything we have to say about traitors this week.
I think we're done here.
Oh, no, wait, no, there's one thing we definitely didn't say that we do need to say about traitors this week. How the fuck is next week the finale? I feel like we are barreling toward an ending that I just don't think is as fulfilling as it could be. And I wonder if that's because the day they woke up and saw Phaedra's out, Dan's out, John's out. Oh,
Shit.
God.
I mean, it's so funny because like we're talking about a show like Drag Race, which is on its 16th season of its original franchise, 20 other franchises throughout the world, and we are seeing still that they are innovating and refining the concept and changing how they do things. This is on its second season of the US franchise, about to be on its third of the original UK franchise. They still have so much time to work stuff out to get to the same status as some of the big shows they're pulling from and talking about, like Survivor, like Big Brother.
Hell, like Drag Race itself.
Yeah. And I think you're right insofar as like it does feel a little bit. I mean, I think they always knew how many episodes they were getting for the season, of course, but they didn't necessarily know how their own rules and their own game flow would result in a season that feels the way it does when you're getting towards the end. And I'm just so interested to see how, as time goes on, they tweak and adjust little things in order to keep it going as something that doesn't just leave you going like, oh, we're already at the end, huh?
You know, Jonah, when we asked you to watch Traitors, it was sort of like, listen, you love trash. And by that, I mean you watch The Circle. And do you watch Love is Blind?
No, I watched the reactions to it, but I don't actually watch Love is Blind.
Okay, so you love garbage, sort of in the same Oscar the Grouch way I do. And so I would love to know how you feel this season of Traitors is measuring up, your final thoughts on Drag Race for the week, and where everybody can find you on the interwebs if they want to follow your very handsome, very fuzzy face.
Traitors, one, I need to go back to watch the first season to see how it actually compares. I need to see what changed, if anything at all. Yes. And I also, it is a little weird that we're at the end now, only because it doesn't feel like we're at the end. It feels like we probably should have like one more banishment and then we're at the end. But that is to say, overall, a very good bad time. It's very fun. I like watching people make kind of fools of themselves. It's very entertaining for at least my gladiatorial heart ready to go, yes, 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 guillotine. But at the end of the day, it was fun.
No, I'm sorry. Rue would tell you to pronounce it guillotine. She doesn't really like the heavy French accent.
RuPaul doesn't believe in the French. You've heard it here first. Exclusive. Speaking of the French, I do look at UK versus the world. This was a little bit of a mid-season slump. And not really actually the Queen's fault. I do think Rue kind of had it in her agenda. I'm not going to play with these queens like I did this with the other team. And it's a little unfortunate. Our dearly departed from the US Drag Race. I love you, Plasma. I can't wait to see you live at some point. You're going to do amazing. You got a beautiful, bright future ahead of you.
I'm ready for the transfusion.
I am also ready for the transfusion. And shout out to Maya for being one of the best performers we've ever seen.
Ever.
And if you want to see one of, the fuzziest guys you've ever seen, as Nico said, you can follow me everywhere at Peak Jonah. That's PEAK. It's real.
It's real. Speaking of real, Keva, one of the things that I love so much is that you don't just take the time to make these images and put all of this show together, but like you so give yourself over, whether it's something you know literally nothing about, like Final Fantasy spinoff of rhythm games, or it's dialing into movie franchises you only began to even delve into for an episode. You make everything feel like the episodes of shows like Drag Race and Traitors, where you are such a master of those brands and genres. And I would love to know how you feel about what we covered today. And how do you think this season of Traitors is going to finish up?
I am very surprised that we are so close to the end of this season of Traitors, but I'm excited, especially with how everything has shaked out toward the end of this season, to see where things go. I'm glad that we have a little bit more drag to sustain us through into when we're going to have some new stuff, new scripted material that we'll be covering later in the spring, with Discovery only a month away from debuting, with Doctor Who only 2 months away from debuting. But I'm very excited for sure. And in the interim, you can find me over at the socials at I took the banner down. Kevo Really, that's KEVOREALLY. Teak, what about you? What have you enjoyed this week?
Trey?
I don't have a good answer for that.
You enjoyed our company, going to Bianca with you, because that's what started the whole episode.
True.
I did enjoy all that stuff. We had a blast. I really, I cracked up. Bianca was a lot of fun. Traitors, I think, is just so dumb. I mean, like, I guess with Traitors, it's honestly like that MJ has come out as the hero of the show out of nowhere. And Drag Race, like I said, I'm just sort of bewildered by Drag Race at this point. I don't think there's ever been a more talented season of Queens. They're just all phenomenal. This has been one of those really fun ones where really fun and then really sad that every episode is a loss. Like, nobody should go home every episode. I want them all to stay. They're all fantastic. But I cannot for the life of me justify basically any elimination that has happened when it's happened. So it's really weird, but maybe that weirdness will be an interesting turning point in the history of the show. It feels like we're in a very different phase for where Drag Race is going. And that's interesting. But, mostly I hope MJ inspires somebody to do Snatch Game next year.
I love that. And where can everybody find you online?
You can find me at TK Elemental.
I love it. As for me, you guys can find me all over the interwebs at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION. We'll be back, I think, Wednesday with comics, Saturday with some of the most amazing new media you can think of, and, of course, Sunday with our reactions to reality TV and the greater landscape of television as a whole. Don't forget to check me out here on YouTube Music and over on SoundCloud, as well as Instagram, Twitter, and more. That's Nico Action, NICOACTION. Big thanks to our amazing fans like Kyle, Tasty Cake, and more. We love being a part of your guys' world, and we can't wait to be part of more. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That's a trio, just like these 3 boxes that we know you can't live without. But if there's 3 more things that we're going to ask you guys to do, it's number 1, stay safe. It's a spooky world, but we know that you guys can fight it down to spoopy if you try hard enough. Number 2, we'd love to see you guys be brave. The bravery is the thing that keeps you guys moving. And number 3, evolve daily, because who you were today is great, but who you were tomorrow is going to be who you are tomorrow is going to be even better. And we'll see you guys then.